bunch of amateurs there.
We're live.
Tonight we're going to talk about tournament fishing and what to do afterwards. Everybody has a YouTube video. Everybody has an opinion about what you should do before you fish a tournament. But in all actuality, the magic starts after the last tournament, after the last fishing trip, because we do what I like to call stacking those experiences. You learn something from one fishing trip or one tournament, and then when you go fishing the next time or you fish the next tournament, you put that on top of that. And that's how you build this ladder of success. I did a little lesson in our Straight Up Fishing Classic earlier this year where I talked about building this confidence bridge. And that's what we want to do after every time we go fishing is build these experiences, stack these experiences. But we need a process a lot of times, because you can sit here and say, oh, you need to write down what happened, or you need to just do better next time. But if you don't really have a strategy to get to a better place, it's really easy just to forget everything that happened. So now you've wasted a bunch of money and a bunch of your time, and you're slowing down your process. That was the number one mistake that I made early on, is not really taking the time to debrief my tournaments. So you guys know that Ken Pfeiffer, Brian Barty, those are two of the guys that were sponsored here in the app. They're fishing the BFLs this year. And so we have two tournaments to talk about tonight. And these guys, they fished the St. Lawrence River. Unfortunately, we couldn't do a breakdown right after that tournament because I was going there and I was in my no information period. So I couldn't talk to them about what happened, because I would be in a devil mess if I would have talked to them about what was going on at St. Lawrence. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll talk a little bit about Champlain, which was their most recent tournament, BFL tournament that they fished. At least 50% of them are at least my favorite places in the world to go fishing. So Barty and Kenny, I know you guys just fished a tournament, two tournaments, and I'm sure you got a bunch of stuff that you took in. I've been thinking about this a lot, really just this year. So I do this all the time. I debrief tournaments all the time, but not until about the second tournament this year, Lake Hartwell, where I really started to use this process that I'm about to talk to you guys about to analyze these tournament results. And what I'm about to tell y'all is it's so simple. These two questions that I'm about to ask y'all about your tournaments are so basic that you can be like, bro, that's the process that you're talking about. Like, this is the whole. You brought us on here at 8:00 at night when I could have been watching the football game or whatever normal people do on Tuesday nights, to ask these two questions about these tournaments. But when you dig into them, they're so open-ended that it makes your brain think. I feel like if a question is too direct, it's easy to be pigeonholed. But these two questions that I want to ask you that'll help you get everything out of your tournament results, they're so open-ended that it forces you to think about what happened, and it forces you to see how you can use that experiences and what you saw and what you learned the next time you go fishing at that place, or the next time you go fishing, period. So this little process, I know, and we can start. It doesn't really matter who we start here. You guys want to start on St. Lawrence? You want to start with Champlain? Which way should we go with it? Let y'all decide.
St. Lawrence.
St. Lawrence. All right. So here's what I want to do. This is the strategy that I've been using this year. I just two simple questions, and then under these simple questions, I've got a couple things that we talk about. It's just, what did you discover when you're at the St. Lawrence? What the heck did you discover? And so when I say discover, that means like go do a deep dive into what worked. Do a deep dive and rehearse into things that should have worked but didn't. Do a deep dive into any surprises that came up during the week. Something that happened that you didn't expect, or something that happened that you were expecting. And then what's something that maybe you underestimated would play. So Those those are just examples, but the broader question is, what did you discover? And the second thing, and I'll rehearse these because I know it's new to you, so it may be easy to forget it. The second thing is just, what do you want to explore deeper? What do you want to explore deeper the next time you go to Champlain, or the next time you go to St. Lawrence, the next time you turn the fish, period? What's something you want to explore deeper into? And so what I mean by that was something you want to explore deeper. Was there an area that you maybe just didn't have time to go to? Was there an area that, after thinking about what happened, perhaps had better grass or more docks or fewer docks or more isolated rocks or whatever? What's an area that you would like to explore deeper next time? Is there, you ever went to Champlain and you fish for largemouth and you leave, you're like, man, I really should have fished for smallmouth? Or what's the, that's species related. Is there new gear? You ever went to a tournament, you're like, man, I really need more spinning reels? Dude, that's valuable information for you. I needed bigger line. I needed better hooks. All that small stuff matters. So those are only 2 questions. When you come up with a process, I think it's got to be simple and easy, because if I gave you an outline of 10 things, how are y'all going to remember that? You can't do it. You can't do it. It's got to be super simple. So just those 2 questions, that's it. If you can answer those 2 questions, it spiders off into so many different things that I think is going to be much broader than it seems when I just said that. So I'll let you guys decide who wants to go first. So you went to St. Lawrence. Tell me about it. What did you discover at the St. Lawrence River? Whoever wants to go first.
Ken, you can go first.
Okay. All right. Um, with things going in St. Lawrence, I've had a little bit of advantage. I've never fished in Messina, but I've been down in Alexandria Bay. So at least the waterway wasn't a total unknown to me. Now I know it's totally different because we're 95 miles away or close to it. Um, but I also got information the year before from you, BLAT, about using rock crawlers and using crankbaits and throwing them in there where the rocks are. And you don't have to hit the rocks. So I proved that to
Yep.
myself in December of 2024. I caught my 3 largest smallmouth I've ever caught. I started with 3. I ended with 5.4 pounds on fun fishing at St. Lawrence,
Right.
all on the rock. So, um, for me, I love throwing a crankbait. If I get a crankbait bite, I'm good. I want to keep
High
going.
five, buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what I did discover, I fished with Barty a couple of days before the tournament. I was kind of shocked that there wasn't much current there at Messina. There's at least where we were, not compared
Right.
to down in Alexandria Bay.
Okay.
But I mean, Barty had some places marked out, and he wanted to fish, and we caught bass there. Um, so that was really good. I still talked about the current. I asked them, we need to find some place that has current, that's a current break
Heavy.
and has coming in. And one of the things that we kind of debated what to do is I didn't, when you're leaving Messina, do you do the 50-mile run and then take your chance and only have a limited amount of time to get fish, or do you try to find something closer to Messina? So one of our ideas was, he'll probably go into more detail, but we were trying to decide, do we leave out of Messina and he drives 25 miles and then we work our way back to see if we can find anything within 25 miles of good fishing? Or what I was trying to, because there was another tournament going on, I suggested we go all the way up to Waddington and put in there and go, I guess it's north, go towards Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
And see if there's any, then you can either rule that in or rule that out. Because one of the things we found out is the other tournament, they were driving all the way towards the lake in Ontario, 94 miles, and catching big bass.
Right.
They all were with 25, 27 pounds, all smallmouth. But that's obviously Barty and I, for practice or even for his tournament, we're not going to run that far. up there. So um, love that current. I love fishing in that current. It was funny. I think it was Friday when he took me up to, I believe it was Ogden Island or something similar
Yep.
around that area. And we had a great current break that slammed right into the island and then went, and we fished both sides of it. But what was interesting is I was catching bass on my crankbait, and I think he got a couple bites on his jig and stuff. And he made a comment to me, "These are Ken's fish. These are Ken's fish." And what
Yeah,
it is,
yeah,
yes, this is what I like. This is my technique, you know.
yeah.
So and I agree with him. I mean, like that's what I wanted, and I know that works. And like you said, I get a crankbait bite, I'm done. I'm fishing
I'm
that the
done,
rest of
bro.
the time.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, it just solidified that I want to throw a rock crawler in the current. Any of the current breaks, I want to sit there all day fishing. And to jump
Which
ahead,
which color do you use, Kenny? Which color rock crawler do you like?
what was interesting is I have to look it up, but it was like a brown on the top and it had like a pinkish hue to it in the bottom.
Okay.
Um,
I think I know which one that. Are you sure is it not green on the top and then pink on the bottom?
5, the one that goes 9 to 12 feet.
Yeah, I use a smaller one. I use spring cross, chartreuse with a brown back.
Yeah, I like it going back. What was interesting, I mean, I'm jumping ahead. What was interesting is the first bass I caught, he spit up a crawfish that looked just like my crankbait. So
Yeah.
I knew I was good. Um, but so a couple things. The day of the tournament, you get a random boater. So I don't know anything. I get with him, nice guy. He fished a little bit. He said he fished a day and a half, I think, before. He admitted he wasn't a big knowledge in smallmouth fishing. So he was looking for something with largemouth. So when we took off, he said we had a 20-mile run, and we did a 20-mile run, and then he took me way back up in a creek. I want to say it was or Chris or something like that. It was near Ogden Island.
Okay.
We went way
Yep.
back in
I
there.
know.
It was picture perfect. It had grass, it had bridges, it had all kinds of stuff. It looked like largemouth bass heaven, but all we caught was little ones. He caught one
Yeah.
keeper smallmouth. I caught 2 pike, and I caught a walleye. So obviously that doesn't do me any good. But he spent a
Yeah.
lot of time there, and we just kept catching 10 and 12 inch. I mean, barely. They weren't even 12 inches. They were under 12-inch bass. So it wasted a lot of time there. I got a little antsy because I'm like, I come to St. Louis, I don't want to fish all the way up in the back of the
You know,
creek.
with fish a largemouth.
So I just kept
Yeah.
talking to him real nicely. And I brought up the whole straight up fishing. Here's what VLAT tells me. Here's what's worked for me after I listened to him. I said, we're looking for, some current. Current would be good. Let's find some current. And eventually he went out. And then he went to one island. And then he asked me, what's another island that I want to go to? So I quickly pulled up my map and I said, look, I think it was Galapagos Island or something like that. It's
Okay.
another place where was slamming right into the island, and we got up there, and it's 12 o'clock. I don't have a keeper. He's got 2 keepers. I don't have anything. Well, that current was really good. There was about 8 boats up there. So we started fishing. When we went to the island, we saw the big concrete uh, channel breaker right there. So I
Okay.
said, let's start. And that was beautiful, but we didn't get any bites. There was 5 boats around us right there. But as soon as we hit the island and we came around the island and that current just started pushing us like crazy, that's when I got my bites. So I
Yeah.
got 2 keepers in the next 2 hours. They were all over 3 pounds. So
Yeah.
and like
All
I
in the
said,
crankbait.
bite, I was done. And I knew we had about 45 minutes left. And I said, I could probably throw a worm out. I could probably do a drop shot. I could probably get my 3rd bass and I have a limit, but he won't be big probably. So I want him to come off the crankbait. I want a big one off the crankbait. So we kept fishing, and it was really good. It was really good current, and I don't know how to describe it, but when we got to a place where one of the harder parts of the shoal really came out, that's when I seemed to get a bite. When it came out from the shoreline to the deep water, that's when I got my bite. Every bass I was catching was spitting up these crawfish. They looked just like my
Yeah.
bait, so it was good. So we got 30 minutes left. I hook a big one. I hook a big one. The current's pushing the boat around. He grabs the net. The boat's heading towards the shore, and I tell him, "Go get the boat. Get the boat fixed." And I fought him for a little while. They're so strong. They're fighting against that current, but they just slice right through it, and you're fighting them, and it's hard.
Yeah.
So he got within sight of the boat. We saw him. He got the note. He got the net ready. No fault of his, and it was as if somebody pushed a button and released him right within
Oh,
5 feet of us. And he was all of 4 pounds, maybe five. He was a big one. He was a big one.
yeah.
And when I cranked back up later, one of the treble hooks had broken off
Oh,
where
yeah.
he had the last hook right there. So maybe it got loose hitting rocks and stuff like that, but or fighting the other two fish. I didn't change the crankbait. I used the same crankbait, so lost it. But I was happy. I had my chance. I got my bites. That was the fish that could have done it for me because looking at the weights, if he was over 4 pounds, I probably would have been in the top 20. Which would have been
Yeah.
really. So I ended with the two, and I reaffirmed. I go back up to September for fun fishing in St. Lawrence. I'm going to take a dozen rock crawlers. That's all. That's all I
Yeah.
want to do. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
doing that.
found out some more stuff about the St. Lawrence this year that will let Barty talk, but I discovered some new stuff on St. Lawrence. I don't really care. It's been my least favorite northern fishery, but I finally figured out something where like I found my fish. Like how Barty
Yeah.
was telling you, like those fish are Kenny's fish. Like I found my fish this time. So now I can't wait to get back there again and fish. So
Yeah.
sounds good. So you found you've stay pretty much consistent with what you already knew. The fishing the crankbait, heaviest current you can find. The upside of the current is where
Yeah.
I've always found the smallmouth like to hang out. You would think they get in eddies and kind of get out of the current. No, they get on the front side. Like if you see those barge tie ups, the stupid smallmouth get on the front side of the barge tie ups in the heavy current. They don't set like in the eddy behind it. They get on the front side. So anything that blocks the current, just get in the front side of it. That's where they are. It defeats everything you ever learned about bass fishing. But it's so wild how they set up on stuff there. But fishing islands, it sounds like how you end up catching your fish. Those largemouth up there are fun. I think I know where you're talking about. Fished at. It sounds like it was that river that runs behind the boat ramp at Waddington. Is what it sounds like. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's not the one. That one's not the
Yeah.
one. I did actually catch some really good largemouth this time, and I was about to go largemouth fishing, and I decided not to. Thank God I didn't. But we can talk about that a little bit later too. All right, that's good. So some good discoveries. Keep that stuff. Like keep that in your mind. If you
Yeah.
saw your boater fishing with anything that maybe you didn't think about or maybe you underestimated, definitely keep that. Even if you don't write it down, sometime putting it in the back of your skull for next time. Remember that, or just question like, why did that work? Like let's say if your boater was using, I don't know, just something you want to thought a spinnerbait with white painted blades or something.
Yeah.
I think the idea here is okay. He caught him on that, but like why? What was it? Is it because the water's clear and the smallmouth are sight feeders and that those bright blades just flopping like that gets his attention? Like just kind of become curious about that stuff because it'll put you on the chase to understanding the fish a lot. I mean, you already pointed out some good things. You talked about all the fish spitting up crawdad. I noticed that too. When I was there, crawdad was a thing because what's something you hear about big smallmouth all the time? You always hear them talk about gobies. Everybody talks about gobies with northern smallmouth. I'm gonna be honest with you. In a dozen smallmouth tournaments, I have never had a bass spit up a goby in my live well. Never. Some type of shad forage or crawdads. I'm not saying that they don't eat the gobies. I'm just saying it's kind of wild that I never have a goby show up in my live well. Do what you want to with that, okay? So, from my experience, I don't know what the shad forage is. It's either Cisco's or alewives. I know they eat perch, and crawdads is what it looks like to me. But I'm open to whatever everybody else says. I'm just telling you, I have never seen a goby in my live well, ever. Never pull one to the surface out of 30, 40, 50 feet, and then a goby come out. I have never seen it. Never seen it. So it's good observations there. Was there anything else there, Kenny? Did I interrupt you from anything else?
I mean, obviously, as a co-angler, I don't get to choose where to go and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard for me to, you know, try to discover something sometimes or whatever. But I would like to look at the flats, you know, a little bit more. You know, I seen some videos on YouTube where, and I think you mentioned it too, where it's like a mile long flat. I would like to fish those one time or something, especially with a jerk bait or something like that, just to be able to
Yeah.
have that. And then someplace where there's isolated rock. If there's one big rock, you know, that's in an unusual place or something, that'd be something I'd like to explore if I could.
That's what I caught my fish on, is exactly what you said. Isolated rock, a rock, or isolated rock patches. But it was a very specific type of rock that I found. And like when I go back, I don't know that I'll fish much at all. I will look for that rock for sure. So it was good stuff to pick up on there. Barty, what did you discover, my guy? I'll write a few things down here.
What did I discover? Well, let's see. New water. That was the first thing. It is big new water, right? So
Yeah.
I had found some places to explore, and with the first day I actually did really well. What I found was the Ned rig, but I can't fish just a regular Ned. So it's got to be the Shrooms Micro Finesse jig. So it's just a Ned, but it's got the
with the
jig.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes me feel
that's popular up there.
Yeah. So that worked really well. I did try. I did catch one on a jig during practice, and what I found is the first day I was fishing more inside weed line sides of the islands, right? So the current was kind of going down, and I was mostly sight fishing, right? And
Okay.
I would throw that Ned to that. Just if you throw that Ned jig in front of a smallmouth, they're gonna bite it. I mean, some of them literally were right below the boat in 5 feet of water, right?
Yeah.
So I realized all I had to do was get that thing in front of them. And then we went to a couple of other shoals, and same thing. It was more shallow, and what I found was any of those rocky areas, and there's some point isolated cover, some old logs or rocks on those shoals, which seemed to be okay during practice. And then we went down into the current the second day, and we caught Kenny's fish. I didn't do so well.
Kenny's.
But that's a good thing for me. I like that. I want to find that out in practice, right? So
hey, I think you can wash that jig in that stuff. I think you could take a jig and wash it in that current. You know what I mean by wash it? Like you throw it out in the current, let it hop, and let the current carry it. Like let the current do the work. I think that would work.
It probably would. I'm just worried about I was thinking about the grass, right? So I did throw. I think I threw. Man, I threw a lot, and Ken was back there killing me. He was catching
Yeah, yeah,
all day. But
yeah.
yeah,
They
so
love that
that
current.
was they do. What's interesting is the ones that I ended up well, I ended up catching the most fish in less current, right? The shoals, that inside grass line where it was a transition from essentially sand to grass. I noticed that I caught more there, um, but it almost had to be very sunny, the high sun, right? So you could almost see into that water. Because what I noticed is in the morning I couldn't see them.
Can't see.
So
Can't see.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that took away that bite, right? You'd have to kind of hop a jig or something. Um, I did so during the tournament. Let's see, during the tournament, I ended up getting to a point that had, like, I mean, a lot of current, right? A lot of current coming off of that point. And my co-angler and I went up and we drifted past the point. And I forget what he was fishing. I think he was fishing a jig, and I was fishing that little micro jig. And we both
Hmm.
caught like 4 pounders, and we both saw
Yeah.
2 or 3 more. And now we're thinking, oh man, we're just going to drift this, go back up, drift this point, keep going. And we ended up, I think maybe, I don't think we caught any more after that on that point, but we spent a lot of time there. I probably should have not spent as much time there or moved out. But he
Yeah.
did end up catching a muskie, which was kind of neat.
Right.
That was neat. And then what I ended up doing, so what interesting story, tournament day. We're fishing this shoal, and I came into the shoal, and I was coming around the shoal so that my shadow was behind me, right? So I was kind of trolling
Right.
motoring around, and this other tournament fisher comes in full speed and right up on the shoal, comes off plane, and hits his motor on the shoal. And I'm
Oh
like, really?
no.
But he
Yeah.
was there, and he knew he was fishing that shoal because he took and put his motor
Oh.
up and didn't just started fishing the shoal. But
Oh.
anyways, we came back around. I got a good one on there. I caught a good one. He got off because they
Yeah.
like to jump them smallies, so he got off right at the boat.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
fished around that shoal. I came back because there were 2 bedding fish, and I was just trying to get them to bite. And then that guy comes around and literally puts his boat 20 feet from me on the shoal. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and my
Yeah.
co-angler just lost it and whatever. So he ended up leaving, and we ended up going back to where I caught him in practice, and I ended up catching a couple more there. So it was not
Yeah.
what I wanted, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot by going
It's
there,
tricky.
and I feel a lot more confident if I was to go back to the St. Lawrence, right? Because
Yeah.
in 2 days, it's hard to figure that body of water out, even if I had
It's so
places to
different.
go. Yeah,
It,
it's big.
the St. Lawrence is tricky because, in my opinion, it's not like any other river that I've ever fished. It's very seldom that you get a river with a lot of current. It's gin clear with smallmouth. I don't know anywhere else that's like the St. Lawrence River. Maybe the St. Clair River or Detroit River, maybe, but I've never fished anywhere like that. So I agree with you. The first time I finished 100 and something, and then the second time finished after day one, I was like in ninth. After the second time, I just had a bad day there. At the second day, um, and then I went there again. And I did pretty good in the championship that I went there. And then this time I was like, you kind of stack those experiences, and it's starting to make sense. So it sounds like I want to tell you what I discovered when I was there. So you're already hitting on something that I was kind of doing when I went there. Is you can't even talk about the isolated rock on the flats. I was fishing flats, and I didn't fish anywhere where I couldn't see the bottom. There was nowhere that I fished the entire week that I could not see the bottom. I wanted to know what I was throwing at, and you would be surprised how shallow those smallmouth go. It's gotta remember it's full of current, and they're eating crawdad. So they're going to be shallow. Most of the fish, besides the ones that I caught on the crankbait, most of the ones that I caught were in like waist deep water. So the things that I were fishing, you could not run on plane. You had to run your trolling over to them. They were very difficult to get to, a lot of them. And a lot of the stuff I found, I actually ended up either in the tournament trolling motor on high or idling to find. Listen, isolated rock, but not only isolated rock, but patches of clean. So you'll notice on some of those banks going down the St. Lawrence, there's a lot of grass and a lot of a lot of cabbage, all types of vegetation in St. Lawrence. Be careful about overlooking that stuff. Some of it has rock mixed in it, like small patches of clean area in those really grassy bays and stuff. And there are smallmouth setting on those holes. But you got to be patient enough, because some of it is marked on your map. It'll clearly say like rocks, or it may, let's just say it'll say Ken Pfeiffer's rock or something like that. That stuff that you see on the map, guess what? When you go over to that star, guess what's over there? Rocks. And it's so simple and so easy that like people are just driving by it. And you literally will see a small, and then let me say, I say you'll see a smallmouth. When you see that stuff, listen, boys, it is so shallow that you would swear if there's a fish there, you would see it. And you can take that stick worm, throw it over there. You want it in the tournament. I was trying to stay back as far as okay. You throw your stick worm over there, and you're like, I see all of the bottom. All of the rocks. You can count the rocks. You like 32, 34, 37, 38, 30, 10. Like it's rocks everywhere. And yes, I said 30, 10. You could count all the rocks. And you would throw that stick worm out there, let it sink, doom, every single time if you found one of those clean spots. And so one thing I pigeonholed myself in previous times is like I was just heavy current, heavy current, heavy current. Yes, they are a heavy current. But if you find those isolated rocks and or just clean spots where it's hard bottom, there's smallmouth there. Like you don't have to guess, question, doubt. You don't need a survey. You almost don't even need to fish it in practice. If you find a slick spot, there's smallmouth on it. And all this stuff, I'm talking about the kind of stuff that you got to fish where you got to trim your motor up high out of the water. Put your trolling motor up and try to get to it. They're on that stuff everywhere on that river. But listen, Barty, so you talked about how many boats and all the tournaments are there. Zero pressure. Because everybody's wanting to do this because this is the cool thing to do. Like everybody's wanting, I'm talking about 4 or 5 pounders are on this stuff. So, and they're fairly easy to catch. Okay, let me rephrase that. They are not easy to catch. They're easy to get to bite. Catching them on the wrong lure is hard. Some of these fish are so shallow that the best bait to throw would be like a topwater, a big spook or something like that. They would hit, and they will hit that. Here's the problem. With that spook, you throw it out there, boom. The problem is his inertia is already coming up, right? You got knee-deep water. He's already coming up at your bait. Then what's he going to do next when you set the hook? His motion is already coming up. He just jumps. So you set the hook. You get 3 cranks on him. He jumps 18 feet out of the water and comes off. I put that top water. The first 3 fish I lost on top water, I put that down and never picked it back up. I picked up my stick worm, throw it out there, and I just fan cast her. I don't think I lost. I might have lost one. I had 3 rods on the deck, the Senko, the square bill crankbait, and a rock crawler. That was it. I get deeper edge, throw a spur rock crawler. I get tighter in, I was throwing that little Bones, crawdad color Bones crankbait that Level makes, that Bass Mooch makes. And then I just threw my stick worm around, just throw it around. Just throw it around. And I swear you cannot, that water is so clear that you're going to think that you see fish on those flats and rocks and clean spots. You will not see them. Sometimes you do, but you will not see them fish a lot of times. So you just gotta throw it up there. Like a lot of those fish, I kid you not, they were so freaking shallow. So Barty, you're right on par with it. I think it's just finding more areas. Just finding more rocks, finding more places. You just finding more stuff is all you have to do, because you do go through quite a bit of it. But it's just clean spots. Sometimes it is a boulder. Sometimes it's are y'all familiar with that river rock that people buy to put in their yards? My dad sells it. I've installed a bunch of it in my life. It's almost traumatic looking at it underwater. But that river rock, that round, smooth rock, you ever see that? That's him. He's there somewhere swimming around. You see, there's a bunch of house foundations. There's road beds on the St. Lawrence. Any kind of concrete, anything that's hard, anything that's not soft and not grass. He'll be there. He will be there. Like Barty said, you had a good thing going. You talk about the inside grass line. That was another thing I had. Some of those long points, forward-facing points, forward into the current. I was doing the same thing with the stick bait, throw it out on those forward-facing points right on the inside grass line. Like you got heavy grass, and then right where it transitioned to those spotty sand or rock, that was those smallmouth patrol up and down that grass line. Barty, something you said that I wanted, I'd already had this problem one time, so I fixed it this time I went to the St. Lawrence. When you're fishing shallow like that, in practice, always the weather is perfect and you can see all the clean spots and you can see all the grass holes. You can see all that stuff, and it never fails. It's either windy during the tournament or it's cloudy during the tournament or something where you can't see good. When you're in your practice, it's very important to learn how to waypoint those areas and try to get some landmarks. And when I say waypoints, I'm not just talking about throw a dot down and that's it. You need 4 or 5 around each area. You need to know how far extremity to the left and to the right, and how far the extremity is from the back and to the front. Because when you just throw one dot down on a rock, it's actually hard to line up on it. So if you find a rock in practice, do a 360 around that rock or that clean spot and get several waypoints, so you know when you're in. So when you're looking at your graph, you know when you're getting inside the rim. You got a better reference of where you're casting to, because that's going to happen a bunch. It's going to get windy. It's going to get cloudy. It might rain. Sometimes the sun in the morning, the sun is at a weird angle and all you get is a glare. It keeps you. What if your trolling motor batteries die and you can't troll against the current and you got to go behind, and then it puts you at a bad angle with the sun? So I learned that from many times. Sight fishing, I've learned that. I do a lot of that style fishing for largemouth in the spring anyway. But get you some waypoints, strategic waypoints, several around the structure, so you know when you're getting inside that and how to line up your cast. Like, pay attention to that stuff pretty closely in practice. It'll pay off in the tournament. Because especially when you talk about those inside grass lines, if you're 8 foot too far to the right, you're just in muck. If you 8 foot too far to the left, then they'll come over there on a good day and come get the bait, but you want to make it not hard for them. you don't want to make it like, I got to swim over here 8 foot. You want to make it as easy as possible for them. So be a little bit more strategic with those waypoints in practice on places that you know you're going to come back and fish. That's definitely something I had to learn the hard way. Michael, do we have any questions before we move on to that second question? We got any? Let me look on the chat too. I got my phone going. Conversation.
Would you throw your crankbait with or against the current or across the current?
I throw it anyway. Smallmouth fishing in crystal clear water. Most of the time, I'm going with the current and I'm bringing my bait back against it. Hang on, bro. Hold on. Let me make it. Listen. Anything on that river is capable of swimming against the current. They are professional swimmers. If you needed to throw your bait where it comes with the current, every fish and every single bait fish would be slammed up against the Messina Dam. And that ain't the case. They can swim it. You may say, oh, that looks unnatural. It probably surprises him because he's got his nose in the current and that crankbait comes flying by at 8 miles an hour. Probably his back. He's probably like, God dang, I ain't never seen that before. And goes, I don't worry about that. What makes it easiest for me to present the bait? I haven't found it to matter yet. You might want to try to, on an off day, maybe so. I have not found it to matter. I got the current to my back. The current's pushing my boat, and I'm reeling my crankbait back. Like, I don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. If I want to slow down and fish, yeah, I may do that backdraft thing, but I don't really worry about it that much. Doesn't matter. All right.
Oh, I did catch 2 gobies.
You did catch gobies?
Yeah, I was using a
on
minnow
that
and I was
jig.
dragging it across. No, minnow style bait, and I was jagging it across the bottom, and I speared 2 gobies on a rocky shoulder.
Really?
Yep.
Maybe they swallow those gobies so good that they don't regurgitate.
They're just gone.
Yeah.
Is it illegal to keep the goby on if you spear it?
I used to do that seriously here at home when I would, like how I took you fishing when you were here, Barty. When sometimes we would get in the bait so thick, or like if a fish would regurgitate a thread fin, I'd put it on the drop shot, and it would never hit the bottom.
Yeah.
But that's a legit question because the lines can get blurry there. It can get very blurry. I didn't put him on there. Very, very blurry. Let's see. I don't see anything else.
Yeah, the only other thing I'm seeing is a question about the SUF tournament, the code not working or something.
It's working. We looked at that this week. If it's not working, what code are you? It's been working. I don't know. Because we checked that. Somebody else said they were having problems.
Did you get it to work?
Yeah. It was MacTune. Yeah, we tried it and it worked. If it doesn't, reach out, send me a message in the app. Screenshot what you're getting. You can send me a private message in the app, and then I'll shoot that over to the team and see what they say. But we did try it. I got that I think last week, and it was fine.
So now everybody's gonna go say, hey, BLAT said hook all the bait fish and use them as.
Hey, if you can hook them on your baits, you're a bad boy. You can figure out how to do that. I'd love to try to figure out how to get. Could you imagine if you could throw a crawdad out there on a little jig head, a real crawdad? Oh my gosh! So let's jump to this next question, Mark. I guess I probably should use that graphic since I had you type it all up. We can. So our next little deal here, super simple. Seriously, y'all think about this on your lake. A lot of y'all are gonna fish this weekend. Are gonna have a tournament coming up soon. Like really, these questions are so simple that it's easy for you to not take them seriously, but like really dig into this stuff. What did you discover? What did you find out at this trip, the tournament, the day, the hour, the minute? What were you feeling? Did you just feel like sometimes you fish an area like I think Kenny was making a comment about, he fished more in Alexandria Bay, felt more familiar with that. And when he was at Messina, it wasn't as much current. I kind of feel like he didn't like that area as much. That's discovering, hey, I don't like Messina as much as I like Alexandria Bay. So when you go back, don't go fish Messina. Go to Alexandria Bay and double down on what you learned there. That was actually another epiphany that I had when I went the last time to the St. Lawrence River. Usually what happens with me is I'll spend a day practicing in Messina, and I'll catch them pretty good. And then I'll go where everybody says you're supposed to catch them, which is down at the whatever, where everybody says you're supposed to catch them, and I don't catch them. And I leave there pissed off because now I have half as many spots as I could have had if I would have just spent all my time in Massena where I actually like to fish. So this time I spent 2 days in Massena. Okay. All right. So that was a ding dong moment. Like I discovered that about myself. And that was more like just a feeling that I had. So all those things, this is open-ended. It could be, what did you discover? It could be a lot of things for you. Okay. Last thing we want to talk about is, and we may have to do Champlain on the second installment, boys. What do y'all think about that? We spent quite a bit of time on this. So what's something that you want to explore deeper? And I just list some examples right there for what you want to explore deeper. It could just be areas. It could be techniques, like you caught one on a drop shot, or you caught one on a special color or something. You're like, man, I wish I had more time to see what the limits and capabilities of that is. That's what we're talking about here. We talked about, like, Kenny went and fished for largemouth. Is that something that you would like to explore deeper the next time you go to the St. Lawrence? Like, where else can I catch largemouth? That's an example. Just drawing examples of what this could be. Is there gear? The first time I went there, I did not have enough drop shot sinkers, and I didn't have heavy enough drop shot sinkers. The heaviest I had was like a 3/8. Didn't know I needed a 1/2 ounce or sometimes even 3/4 ounce drop shot sinkers. What are you going to do with that? Little small stuff. Maybe you need bigger line. Maybe you need a lighter action rod. Maybe you need more spinning rods. Maybe your boat needs a different size prop. You need bigger batteries. All those things. What's something that the next time I go, I'm going to be more prepared with? Gear, lures, baits, something I want to explore deeper. So I think this is something everybody can answer for any tournament. I don't care if you've won the tournament. You can think about ways that you can improve next time you go. So, Kenny, we'll bounce it back to you. What's something you want to explore deeper the next time you go back?
The St. Lawrence, the flats. I mean, I really would like to fish the flats. We're going up there in September for fun fishing. I'm not sure my partner will want to go that shallow, but we'll talk about it. We'll see if he'll do that.
They get on that. They're on it.
Yeah, that was interesting to. I've seen it in the videos, and you talking about it makes me excited to fish those flats.
And like when I say flats, so I know they get on the bigger flats. I feel like are the ones you want to fish like 20 to 40, maybe 20 to 40 foot deep. But the little flats that I was fishing were like an acre, half acre, sometimes just like a couple 100 square foot. Those little spots, my Jesus, like that little stuff. So flats can be all kind of different things.
Was there current in there, or is it more like a bay?
Both. Sometimes a bay. Sometimes just a gap between the island. Just sneaky stuff. Like almost hard to explain. I really should be pulling that up on the map to show you some examples of where I was at. Sneaky stuff, man. That's one thing about the St. Lawrence is I was fishing way too big before, way too broad. You can get in a little place, and if you'll pay attention to little details, there's these little places like this sprinkled all over that river. But you gotta be paying attention. You can't be too anxious to get to Waddington if you're in Massena, which is not a short run, by the way. From Massena to Waddington is not just a little, let me just, and then you're there. Massena to Washington is a little bit of a commitment. Like it's not far, but like you don't just hop down there and jump back and forth between Waddington and Massena. You wouldn't want to do that more than twice a day, I would say. So So like just be a little bit more intentional about where you're at. Where you fishing at Alexandria Bay, I guarantee is all these little spots there. So like really just double down on that stuff. Really fish small is what I like to call it. I fished really small this time. I never went more than. I did go to Waddington one day at the end of the day for like an hour. Don't think I called up, but I caught everything that I caught for 3 days within 3 miles of Messina launch. Every single fish I caught. Maybe 4 or 5 miles. I did go to the Messina Dam one time. I caught 2 5-pounders off the Messina Dam.
Yeah,
No more than 5-7 miles.
That's such an advantage. I mean, that's 100 more casts driving for 20 miles.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah, and not to speak of the anxiety of just knowing like I don't have to go anywhere today. I can just poke around.
Right.
So the flats for you, was there anything else you want to explore deeper? That's enough, by the way. It doesn't have to be 8 things. That's plenty enough.
Yeah.
Like just one thing is enough.
And then I guess in hindsight with Lake Champlain, knowing how the Ned rig works. I haven't really fished a Ned rig. It's a little slow for me, normal.
Yeah, especially for Potomac, it's not fun there.
Yeah, but I can see how in St. Lawrence it would work there too, especially on those flats and stuff like that.
Yeah, it will.
To explore that.
Here's the thing with the Ned rig. You notice we've been talking about crawdad a lot here, and that's what the Ned rig mimics the best is a crawdad. I know that seems crazy, but it does. That's what it's a do nothing crawdad imitator is what it is. So also this is the one time where those little crawfish baits that look exactly like a little crawl, like what Z-Man makes, that I actually hate those baits. Up there, they will bite those things. Okay? I'm not a fan of those type things, like any of those things that look exactly like a bait fish or crawdad. I've never really had much success with them. This is one scenario where it will work. You will catch them on that up on the St. Lawrence. Those little TRD crawls, I think is what it's called. They'll bite that, eat his panties off, chomp chomp. So, how about you, Barty? What's something else you want to go deeper with next time?
I mean, for me, it's because it was new water and I got there and I got to experience it. It's more about the areas. I mean, to be honest, when I committed to that little Ned rig, and I committed to essentially what you're saying, the flats, and finding those kind of spots within a spot, and sight fishing. I mean, I caught a lot of fish. I didn't catch them in the tournament, and I didn't catch them when we were fishing for Kenny's fish, right? Ken's fish. But the first day when we were fishing those inside weed lines, and you could see the rocks and that transition from the sand with a little bit of current. I mean, I probably caught 12 fish in that first day. I mean, and then the shoals, right? To the point where I wasn't catching them because I didn't want to catch them in practice, but I knew I could go get them, and the weather was going to be the same. So that's where I would just like to go fish more of that. And we found some road beds and lots of smallies on that. There are a lot of
they
I
get
them to bite, but they were all over the edge of that transition between the asphalt and the weed line. It's fun.
Those things,
that place,
that shows up really good on Google Earth, by the way. All the road beds on that lake, really will. Yeah. So was there an area? Just try to make note of an area that felt good to you, too. Because what I found out is like that feeling that you get when you're in an area and it just feels good to you. It's not lying to you. It's not lying to you, because I know there's been several times where I went somewhere. I was like, man, this is just good. This just seems like it's right. And I may not have caught a fish there, or maybe not top 10 in the tournament. And then I found out, like, even this last time, once I got a little deeper looking into that area, it actually was good. It's something about your intuition is not tricking you. sometimes you just don't. Something's not setting up right in that area for that particular day or week, and so it might not work then. But there's something about that area. If it feels right, it probably is right. So I pay attention to that. Just like make note of areas that you fished that look right, felt right. Probably go back to that stuff next time you go there.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I agree, and it goes into Champlain too. Good stories there.
yeah,
And bad.
yeah. I know. Red drama. Northern fisheries bring the drama, dude. It's always something's always going on. So just to allude to y'all, I think we probably should do the Champlain next time since we're already approaching 9 o'clock. We'll probably try that one. I'll get what you guys schedule and see when we can drop in on that one. But nobody talks about how dangerous the northern fisheries are to drive around on. I think I feel blessed to grow up fishing where I did because my lakes are easy. If it will hurt you, it's probably marked. It don't work like that up there. It's very. I'm glad I didn't have to learn how to drive a boat there. It'll definitely hurt you. The bottom's hard there, very hard. So y'all that don't know, Barty had a contusion with a rock up at Champlain. Was it Marty? Was it a reef or was it like a high spot or was it like a single boulder?
Oh no, it was a high spot, like a reef shoal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Champlain down right now? Or is it just one of those things where you just thought you
Champlain's
could
down
cross
like
it?
4 feet.
Yeah.
It's like 4
Hey,
feet.
Champlain can fish weird when it's down like that too.
Yep.
4 foot is a lot on Champlain because those largemouth places now they don't exist because they don't have 4 foot to begin with. Hey, you probably couldn't get in Missisquoi Bay.
Yeah, you can.
So in our tournaments,
maybe it was 3 feet. So, but
yeah.
it was shallow. I mean, there was the boat ramps that were you could see boat ramps where the ramp came down, stopped,
Yeah.
and then there was just rocks and then water.
So in Missisquoi Bay, at least in the tour tournaments, they won't let you. It's right on the Canadian border, and they won't let you cross the Canadian border to get in Missisquoi. And it was already tough just staying inside that line. But we did go there one year, and it was kind of low. I don't know how low. It was kind of low. And it takes a lot of that largemouth stuff. It's not in play anymore. There's no water in it. Like when I say no water, I don't mean like a little bit. I mean it is no water there at all. So that is low. 4 foot's a big deal there. The most diverse fishery I've ever been to. It's got so many. It has places where it's like Okeechobee. It's got some places where it is like St. Lawrence. And then it's got like it is the coolest place ever to fish. Coolest place ever.
And what I can say is just on the part about driving up in the Northeast, there are some lakes like Lake George is very well marked. Lake Champlain is not marked very well at all. There's no danger buoys.
No, there's no danger buoys.
Yeah. Yeah. In at least Lake George, they put danger buoys on all the shoals. So
yeah. Is Champlain a natural lake? Is it because there's not a dam there? Is it?
There's I believe that Canada has a dam for hydroelectric.
Okay, yeah, because where we're able to fish, I don't recall a dam anywhere.
It's in Canada, I believe.
Okay, there's not one down south. Oh well, it has to be one for George, I assume, though, right?
There is, yeah. It's a very small one. It's on that. What is that? What's that river
South
called?
Bay.
The Lachute.
Oh. Yeah. Can you get to that from like South Bay?
No, it'd be way too shallow.
Oh, you can't. Okay, it's like a river.
Yeah, it's little.
It's one of those deals. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, let's cover that one in our next live. Let's definitely cover that Champlain. I think it'll exhaust all of us. We run into that. In closing. Here's your process. You're all gonna be fishing tournaments all this fall. You got the next tournaments coming up. Straight up fishing tournament coming up. Like y'all fishing a lot more in those events. You fish when you're off work, and you fish while you're fishing several tournaments at once. Be real intentional about answering those two questions about what you discover and what do you want to explore deeper. That's how you stack those experiences. So there's like this grand idea of stacking experiences where you think about an entire tournament week, and then there's this deal where you're thinking about your experiences on a micro level. When we're talking about size hooks, size line, what type of rod, what type of gear, something I could do to my boat, something you could do to your kayak. Maybe it's, if you fish from the shore, maybe it's just having a special pair of boots that you wear. That improves your experience. So think about it on a grand scale of what did you discover and what do you want to explore deeper, and then think about it on a smaller scale too. All the little nuances. Go deep with this stuff. Really think about it. I hope y'all wrote it down, because a lot of times I feel like I say this stuff and then I'll see in the comments tomorrow somebody be like, Brian, I fished the last 3 tournaments and I caught 2 fish. What do I need to do? I'm like, bro, you mean I just spent 3 hours on this and you gonna ask me what I need to do? Come on, bro. So seriously, like I'm not just telling you this stuff because I think it's cute and you got to have a lesson for Monday night, so let me come up with something random. No, this is like I really do use this stuff. This is really how I think about it. And you can be really intentional about your fishing. Fishing is not as much luck as we have promoted it to be. It's very strategic. There's a reason that the guys that win the most. They have found a program that works for them. So you got to find a program that you can duplicate and that will work for you when you go fishing. It doesn't even matter if you fish competition. I don't know anybody that fishes that don't want to catch fish. Everybody that fishes wants to catch fish. And so if you just simply want to catch more fish, if you simply want to catch bigger fish, try this. It'll make a difference in your fishing. Doesn't mean it's going to make a difference the next trip. Because remember what we said, we got to stack the experiences. We put one on top of another, and it keeps going higher, 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 and we get to where we're looking for. So it may not be the first trip. It may not be this month. It may not be to this fall till you start to recognize that you're starting to build some experiences. It may not be to this time next year, but you got to start building that wall now. So use this. If I see a question in that community section tomorrow and somebody says something about, man, Brian, I've been fishing 3 times this week and I ain't caught nothing. What do I need to do? I'll be like, boy, I'm going to send you that link in the mail. I'm calling the IRS and Trump. I'm putting everybody on y'all, okay? Kenny and Barty, appreciate y'all sharing this experience. I hope everybody that's listening found something that triggered a memory that you had from a tournament or a day of fishing where you can use some of the things that they talked about and help you next time. Let's do that Champlain. We'll do a Champlain recap maybe next week and hear about that experience. I think that's going to have a lot of juicy content on it. Sound good?
It's good. It's going to be a good one. It'll be dramatic. Tune in.
Yeah. Right there. You got to do it like YouTube. Stay tuned. Right on. Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Barty. Everybody else. Y'all have a good rest of your night.
See ya.
Good night.
Y'all have a good night. See you.